Hey everybody, Jeff Miller here, head of GMAT instruction from Target Test Prep. In today's video, we are going to discuss some top tips on how to achieve a 705 plus in the GMAT focus. Tip number one of my favorites, I say it all the time, master one topic at a time. GMAT focus is a test that spans many topics. It's very large in the depth of what you need to know. But when you get to the test, there's not a lot of questions. Yeah, there's a verbal, quant, and DI section, but there's not that many questions on them. So you can't say for sure what you're going to get from which topic. So how do you fix that? You become solid in all of the topics. And how do you do that? It's called topical studying. It means, for example, let's say you're in quant and you're in exponents and roots. Let's say exponents to even simplify this. How do you learn exponents? Well, you learn about all those exponent rules. When you have two bases that are the same and you're multiplying the exponents. When you have two bases that are different. And how do you combine those exponents with multiplication? Addition with exponents, subtraction with exponents, exponents with factoring, exponents with divisibility. So the point is, you really immerse yourself in that topic, right? You learn all you need to. You make notes. You take flashcards, and then, of course, you then practice it. You just practice those exponent questions. You see if there's gaps. You fix them, and then you rinse and repeat. You do this for the quant topics. You do this for verbal, where you'll do strengthening in one sitting. You'll do find the conclusion in another, and then even DI. You go through just graphics interpretation, just two parts analysis, etc. By doing that topical learning, you'll see how great it is and easy it is to master one topic at a time. Tip number two, learn each GMAT topic from the ground up. This probably is obvious, but it needs to be said. Too many students just dive right into the official guide and say, I'm going to practice like heck. I'll get this down through just practicing, right? If you're training for a marathon, you don't run the marathon the day one of training. You work your way up. This goes on for anything that you're learning or doing in life. GMAT focus is, of course, no different. So if you're learning about quadratic equations, you don't start learning about nasty quadratics right away. You first learn about factoring and foiling and zero product property, things like that, and then you build your way up incrementally. Do that with every single topic you study, whether it's math, whether it's verbal, whether it's DI. You just need to learn things from the bottom, develop that foundation, feel good and solid about it, and then slowly build on top of it. And trust me, it'll be a great way to learn, and you'll definitely be thanking me on test day. Tip number three, practice answering GMAT math questions in more than one way. This is important too because you find so many students, or I do, that are stuck on one way of doing things. One example I have is with remainder questions and number properties. I find that so many students fall in love with the remainder formula. Do I like the remainder formula? I do. Is there a time and place for the remainder formula? There is. But is it also really nifty to just plug in real numbers sometimes with remainder questions? 100% it is. Yeah, it's not the way that maybe the GMAT marked it out when they made those questions, or heck, maybe they did. We don't know. But it's a really clean, easy, methodical way to deal with remainders. And that's how I want you to look at all GMAT quant stuff. Sometimes in VIC questions, variables and answer choices, you can just use the variables. Other times it makes sense to plug in real numbers for those variables. So have a hefty toolbox, go into your toolbox when you need to use it, be malleable, don't stick just to one method. And if you can do that, that's going to help you achieve a great score in GMAT Focus Math. Tip number four, don't forget about mixed practice and mixed review. I always say that my favorite thing is topical learning, but trust me, I don't leave the mixed practice and review behind. Think about it. Your GMAT prep might be 16, 17 weeks, might even be more. So if you learn stuff in week 1 and week 2, do you think if by week 17 you haven't looked at those things since then, you're going to still have them down for test day? The answer is you're not. So that's where the review comes in. You schedule weekly review sessions into your study plan, whether it's flashcards on your commute, whether it's flashcards on your lunch break, mixed reviews twice a week, or mixed problem sets. Whatever you got to do, do it so that you're looking at things from way in the past intermediate pass, whatever. You got to find the gaps. You got to make sure your muscle memory remains with older topics, because the more knowledge you bring in, the more is going to go out. But as long as you can keep the knowledge from going out and stop that leak, you'll be in a great spot come test day. Plus, it's going to start to get you into the feeling of how it's going to feel to get into a section and see questions rapid fire from different topics. You do that, plus your topical learning, that's how you're on your way to a 705 plus GMAT focus score. My final tip is pretty simple. Remember, a 705 is an awesome GMAT focus score. Is it doable? It is. I've seen TTP students get it. I've seen some of my personal students get it. It's definitely possible, but it's a long road, especially if you're coming from, let's say, a sub 600 score. So what does that mean? Yeah, you got to have a study plan in place. Yeah, you got to do your topical learning. Yeah, you got to do your mixed review and your flashcards. You got to, but you also got to be motivated and disciplined. Without discipline and motivation, it's going to be difficult to get such a great score. Yes, there's natural ability. Yes, there is, as I said, following the right study plan. But if you're not motivated and disciplined, you're not going to study every night. And when I have my students studying for the GMAT, I do tell them to study daily if they can, 18 plus hours a week. That takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of organization. So as long as you're motivated, you're disciplined to get it done, on top of everything else you're doing that we mentioned in this video, you'll be in a great spot for a 705 plus score on your GMAT focus. So that concludes today's video. I had a blast talking about how to achieve a 705 plus score in the GMAT focus. If you have any other questions about that for us, leave comments, reach out to us at TTP. We're always happy to help. If you enjoyed today's video, subscribe, put comments in the video of other things you want us to talk about in the future. Thank you for watching. Study hard, everybody, and I'll see you all soon.